In the dog-eat-dog world of outlaw motorcycle gangs, Mick Murray was at the top of the food chain for years. Linked to serious organised crime and shootings, Mick is truly loyal to the code of silence that runs through the underworld. Mick embodies the old-school hard-man bikie image. With his large frame, heavily tattooed and head shaved, there is no mistaking him. This is the story of Mick Murray. It's been reported, as a young lad, Mick was taken out of school 3 times for fighting, a tendency so disturbing he was sent to stay with relatives in the United States for 3 months to try and break the cycle of violence. By the time Mick turned 18, he got hold of a security license, and by the age of 21, he owned and operated his own security company. He was known as a hard man who never shied away from conflict. Mick was described as a gym junkie. His large frame and fearless nature towards violence made him the perfect recruit for a bikie enforcer. Mick joined the Comanchero as a young lad and began his rise to the top, though it was anything but a smooth ascent. He became a familiar face to law enforcement as he navigated Melbourne's underworld. Though Mick wasn't just a bikie, he was an established business owner, owning Nitro Gym in Hallam and a tattoo parlour. It's been reported that Nitro Gym was used as a central hub for the Comanchero, but has also been the target for a number of police raids and drive-by shootings. In October 2010, Mick and Mark Buddle got into a brawl with senior members of rival bikie club Notorious, Alan Sarkis and Crazy Dave Lima. The fight broke out on Bondi's main street and left Mick with a broken ankle. Mark Buddle, Alan Sarkis and Crazy Dave Lima were all charged with a fray, and all 3 were released on bail. A month after the brawl, a tattoo parlour owned by Mark Buddle and Comanchero president at the time, Dax Nagakuru, was firebombed. It's believed this was linked to the ongoing feud between the Comanchero and Notorious. Mick was building a reputation for himself, and in July 2013 he became the Victoria president of the Comanchero. He stepped up at a time the Comanchero had been at war with rival motorcycle club Hells Angels. In the same year, Nitro Gym was sprayed with bullets in a drive-by shooting. It's believed the attack was carried out by members of the Hells Angels. Just quickly, if you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing and liking the video and dropping a comment below. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Between 2013 and 2014, police from Victoria's anti-bikie task force, ECHO, were targeting several properties linked to bikies in their attempt to crack down on outlaw motorcycle clubs. In 2013, Strikeforce ECHO arrested Mick and 3 others after police searched their homes, a Comanchero clubhouse, and other properties linked to the club. All 3 were charged with attempting to pervert the course of justice, with police alleging they pressured a victim to putting his hands up for explosives found in the raids. Mick was also charged with possessing 6 long-arm firearms, 3 handguns, steroids, and ammunition. In 2014, during an anti-bikie investigation, police from Strikeforce ECHO raided a number of properties, including several properties owned by Mick. In February 2014, Task Force ECHO confiscated over $100,000 from Mick's tattoo shop, Nitro Inc., over $70,000 from Nitro Gym, and over $20,000 from Mick's home. This money will play an important part in Mick's story later down the line. In 2016, tensions within the Comanchero were high. Mark Buddle fled Australia to Dubai after he was declared a person of interest to the police in connection to the murder of a security guard in 2010. This is when Mick stepped up as the new national president of the Comanchero. It's reported this caused tension between Mick and Mark Buddle, as Mark Buddle still believed he should be in control of the club from abroad. If you've watched any of my previous videos on the Comanchero, you'll know anyone who steps up as the president is instantly on the police radar. Mick became the centre of a police investigation after a drive-by shooting on July 23, 2016, which targeted the home of disgraced sports scientist Stephen Dank. Police believed Stephen Dank was in debt to Mick, and as I'm sure a lot of you already know, debts in the underworld can be a matter of life and death. Stephen was sitting in his downstairs lounge at the time of the shooting and was injured by a bullet fragment, though he survived. When asked about the suspicion of a debt being owed, Stephen Dank denied any debts. He said, "I certainly don't owe money to Mick Murray or anyone else." The police investigation into the shooting eventually led them to Christian Hamilton, who, when arrested, was in possession of large quantities of cocaine and methamphetamine. After a search of Hamilton's property, police found the gun used in the shooting wrapped in a t-shirt and plastic bag buried in the backyard. Hamilton was never suspected of being the one who pulled the trigger, though he did plead guilty to a variety of drug and gun charges. He was sentenced to 5.5 years in jail with a non-parole period of 3 years and 4 months. The court heard that Hamilton had gone from being a Comanchero wannabe to a fully patched member of the club while awaiting sentence. Currently, no one has been charged over the shooting. For years, police believed the Comanchero were involved in serious organised crime, but whenever they asked the president, Mick Murray, about the club's involvement in a string of unsolved shootings, bashings and arson attacks, they were faced with nothing more than no comment. In March 2017, Mick was put in front of a secret tribunal where a refusal to cooperate would see him sent to jail. Here, before the chief examiner, civil rights are temporarily suspended. The right to silence, the right against self-incrimination, the cornerstones of the legal system for more than 200 years do not apply. The rules mean that everyone forced to appear here must make a decision: stay silent or cooperate. If you talk, you go free, but you take the risk of being exposed as a snitch, a label with potential dangerous implications in Victoria, where suspected informers have a tendency to end up dead. Those who remain silent, who refuse to answer questions, face up to 5 years in jail. The goal is to break the underworld code of silence. The police had Mick in their crosshairs, though Mick made his choice very clear. He said, "Mate, I'm not going to waste anyone's time. I'm not answering any questions today. I'm not lagging anyone, so you're wasting your time and mine. If you're going to charge me, give me my charges this morning, and that's it. I'm not answering anything. Mate, this place is the worst kept secret in Melbourne. Everyone knows who's been to the crime commission. Everyone knows who talks about these types of things. This is not a secret. You guys can try and keep it a secret. It's not." For his choice, Mick was jailed for 8 months in 2018. Internal tensions between Victoria and New South Wales Comanchero factions were brewing, and in August 2017, these tensions hit boiling point. On the 20th of August 2017, at 3 AM, a mass brawl broke out between Victoria and New South Wales Comanchero members at a strip club in Canberra. The violent fistfight began after an argument broke out among a small group of men in the smoking area. The brawl quickly escalated, moving into a large vicinity of the strip club. Other men wearing the Comanchero logo quickly sprang into action, abandoning their drinks and ripping off their t-shirts. After 15 minutes of destruction, members began to leave the club. It was reported Mick could be seen on CCTV footage standing in the background watching the fight and making no attempt to control the situation. It appeared Mick could be losing control of the Comanchero. Things in Mick's personal life weren't going well either. In December 2017, Mick and his wife Debbie Pittman were facing bankruptcy after the Supreme Court ordered the couple to pay $3.72 million in taxes, interest and penalties. The couple was a target of the National Anti-Gang Squad, which was set up under the federal government's National Organised Crime Response Plan 2015 to 2018. During the raid in February 2014, police seized financial documents. The couple's affairs were referred to the Australian Taxation Office, which assessed them as having failed to pay income tax between 2008 and 2013. Debbie sought to argue in court that she shouldn't be held liable as Mick had been using her accounts. But Associate Justice Mark Durham rejected the claim and ordered the couple to pay up. It's reported that around this time, Mick and his wife Debbie split up. Things were not looking good for Mick. In early 2018, while Mick was in jail after refusing to cooperate at the Crimes Commission, tensions within the Comanchero were at an all-time high. In February 2018, former Comanchero boss Mick Murray was shot dead in his car. Shortly after this, Mick's right-hand man, Robert Ale, was gunned down at a tattoo parlour formerly owned by Mick. He was shot up to 9 times whilst in the tattoo parlour, though he managed to survive the attack. Some of the 9 shots fired penetrated neighbouring businesses, with one bullet piercing a wall only centimetres from an office worker. It's alleged that Robert Ale is a major player in a crime syndicate and was charged with threatening to kill, drug trafficking, conspiracy to commit arson, and possessing an unregistered handgun. After the shooting, the men fled in a car driven by a third man, which was later found burnt out. Police explored the idea the assassination attempt could have come from rival gangs such as the Rebels or Banditos. However, it's believed an internal dispute between Victoria and New South Wales Comanchero factions might have fueled the violence. Upon Mick's release from prison in late 2018, he was warned of a $250,000 contract put on his head, though this didn't seem to faze him. However, things looked to be going from bad to worse for Mick after he was arrested once again in a tax fraud operation by anti-bikie detectives from Echo Task Force in 2019. Mick's lawyer, John Voighton, was also arrested alongside his ex-partner Debbie Pittman and another man, Graham Ritchie. The 4 faced charges of conspiracy to dishonestly cause a loss to the Commonwealth after police alleged that between 2014 and 2018, Mick and those charged hid assets to avoid a tax debt. While on bail, the courts made a controversial decision to suspend Mick's bail conditions to allow him to go on a 2-week holiday to Thailand with his mates. As part of the agreement, Mick offered a $1 million surety which was put up by his co-defendant, Graham Ritchie. Though it seemed Mick couldn't catch a break, as upon his arrival to Thailand, he was denied entry into the country. It's understood he was kept out the country by an agreement which aims to restrict members of outlaw motorcycle gangs from travelling to Thailand. It was back to Melbourne he went. Back in Australia, Mick was still very much the centre of police focus, and in April 2022, he was once again arrested at his home and charged with the murder of Mithat Rasimi. It's believed Mithat Rasimi, who had ties to serious organised crime and was a close friend to notorious kingpin Tony Mockbell, was killed over an alleged debt he owed the Comanchero. 2 men have already been charged over the execution-style killing, and both men have been linked to the Comanchero. After being arrested, Mick was denied bail. Victoria's Police Chief Commissioner Shane Patton said, "Murray's arrest will send shockwaves through the state's bikie community. From my point of view, this is an outstanding bit of police work over a lengthy period of time. We have tenacity from detectives who refuse to let things slide. This has resulted in a significant arrest, which will impact significantly outlaw motorcycle gangs." This brought an end to Mick Murray's reign as the Comanchero national president. With Mick behind bars awaiting trial, a new fresh face was waiting to step up: Alan Meehan. Make sure you check out my video on Alan Meehan for the full story of his rise to power. While behind bars, Mick demanded answers from police in relation to a missing $200,000 seized in police raids back in 2014. Mick brought the police to court to hold them accountable for money they seized. Mick's lawyer, Sonia Radovich, told Melbourne Magistrate Court the substantial amounts of cash Echo seized have not been located. "What I need, Your Honour, is someone to hold their feet to the fire and hold them accountable. I don't dispute the garnishee order. My problem is, where's the money gone?" The money confiscated from Mick's home was allegedly put towards paying off his debt with the Australian Taxation Office, but Mick's lawyers said there was no record of it being handed over to the ATO, and there was no information on what happened to the other $183,000. Senior Sergeant Alex Austin, who fronted the court on behalf of Victoria Police, stated it was a matter for the Australian Taxation Office and the cash was not missing. He elaborated that Echo was compelled to hand over the $200,000 after being served an order from the ATO in August 2014, and if they hadn't complied, they would have been committing a criminal offence. $20,000 was held as credit by the ATO in a Michael Murray debt account, with the rest of the money in an account named Nitro Holdings Pty Limited. The money's all there in ATO accounts, and it has been since October 2014. Mick's lawyer said the cash from the gym and the tattoo shop did not belong to Murray, as it was business cash, so it could not be put against any debts in his name. Victoria Police cannot act as debt collectors for the tax office. Magistrate McNamara dismissed Murray's application for the return of the funds as it was logged under the wrong legislation, and denied his request for Victoria Police to foot the legal bill. Mick's lawyer made her intentions clear that she will refile the claim to get back the seized property. However, in November 2022, at a preliminary hearing, the tax evasion charges were thrown out, as it was ruled that the Crown had failed to present significant evidence of tax evasion for the case to go to trial. Mick is currently behind bars, awaiting trial for the murder of Matat Rasimi. This brings us to the end of the video. Let me know what you think below. As always, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, take care.